I think when we first started it, it started as a very small idea with Harry and I scratching our heads going, how can we do something that's going to help us in the future? How are we going to build something that's going to provide almost a vehicle to allow us to impact in charitable areas? Because it was quite difficult at the time. Harry and I used to go to a lot of engagements and see these incredible charities doing really great work, but felt that we could give more, and how could we do that? And so the foundation idea sort of bubbled up as a sort of vehicle to be able to do more when we walked away from these engagements.
It's very generous of you to say it was an idea, but actually it was going back right to the beginning when we were looking at the different ways in which we could all work with the foundation. And I suppose I'd learnt through sort of meeting some of my patronages that there was sort of all these underlying causes across so many different sectors. Mental health just kept on flagging up every time, whether it's with addiction or school support and with vulnerable young children. So it's something that I felt very passionate about. And it's obviously such a huge topic. It wasn't as big as I actually thought it was, but it was something that I think all three of us at the time felt that we really could make a far bigger impact together on, rather than just one of us acting alone on it.
It would be interesting to find out, first of all, your impressions of the Royal Foundation so far and what you're hoping to do. Don't be too critical.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, obviously it's incredibly exciting, and yes, I think for me it's been a very long time working on cause-driven work, specifically with women and girls' rights, but to see the model of the foundation is really interesting because while I've worked with larger NGOs, or I've also worked with really small grassroots organizations where you can see a higher level of impact, in my opinion, because there's a lot less red tape. What you're seeing here, and what I noticed with Heads Together from a global perspective, because I wasn't here obviously when it was happening, was the power of convening all of these smaller organizations who have the same issue but need that extra push and support. Under this umbrella, you're able to achieve that, and the impact they all made with Heads Together was tremendous. So I'm very excited to be able to work on initiatives similarly and that can have that same sort of impact globally.
And Heads Together is an amazing convening power, but also the perception of mental health now across this country and also in other countries has changed without a doubt. And I think the timing was absolutely perfect on that. But again, it's all about tackling the cause and not the symptom. And I think in today's society it's very easy to get sucked into trying to sort out the symptom. We, the four of us and everybody at the Royal Foundation and all of our supporters, hopefully, believe that actually in order to have long-lasting change, to have a long-lasting impact, you have to somewhat ignore the symptom or go to the symptom, talk, listen to them, and then wind it all the way back to find out the cause, because otherwise you're just putting a band-aid on the problem. It'd
be wonderful if we could do another project or another campaign, similar impact Heads Together, or as a unit, as a family. But I think we've got to be careful how and when we target those moments. You've got to use them carefully, and you've got to plan for them. They take a lot of preparation to do. I think each of us have got our own ideas and work streams that we'd like to build upon. For me personally, I think following on from Heads Together, tackling male mental health. There's still a huge stigma and taboo around male mental health. Suicide, for instance, among young men is still one of the biggest killers in the country. Some of the statistics that came out from Heads Together was that we managed to create 800,000 new conversations amongst men on mental health, which we thought was really good. And the other interesting fact as well was that only 2% of people at work go to HR to talk about mental health. 2%. So that shows that work is one of the most stressful places that we go to every day, and the fact is that people aren't feeling like they can go to work and actually speak to those people who, in theory, know the system and know what the environment you're working in.
Yes, I mean, I think that knowing that I've just been here for 3 months, right? And in that amount of time, but with that said, for me, it's very important to, once you hit the ground running, even if you're doing it quietly behind the scenes, which is what I've focused my energy on thus far, is meeting with the right people, meeting with the right organizations behind the scenes quietly, learning as much as I can so that I can maximize the opportunity we have here to really make an impact. I think what's interesting is I hear a lot of people saying when speaking about girls' empowerment, finding and knowing their worth, or women's empowerment as well, you'll often hear people say, well, you're helping women find their voices. And I fundamentally disagree with that, because women don't need to find a voice. they have a voice, they need to feel empowered to use it, and people need to be encouraged to listen. And I think right now in the climate that we're seeing with so many campaigns, I mean, with Me Too and Time's Up, there is no better time than to really continue to shine a light on women feeling empowered and people really helping to support them, men included in that. I mean, it makes such a tremendous difference. So, yeah, just I guess we wait a couple months and then we can hit the ground running. But up until then, I'm pretty excited. But I will say, you know, if we know how, and I certainly know how passionate I am, and Harry and I see the world so similarly in our approach of being very hands-on with things, what I can say is that I have been fortunate enough to meet with some incredible women and organizations in general in the UK that are doing work here, but then also knowing that some of the work that I've done in the past has been in Commonwealth countries like Rwanda, India. So this reach, I think, can have some really nice legs to it once we can start. But
After
I guess,
May.
yes, exactly, to be continued.
Okay. As family, do you ever have disagreements about things?
Oh, yes.
Healthy disagreement.
Okay, the last thing you disagreed on, how do you resolve it?
I can't remember. They come so thick and fast. But it's
Is it resolved? We don't know.